Hello and welcome to another video from myrucksackandI.com and from me, Alistair Down. And I thought I'd talk to you today about the Fjallraven Classic, which is a walk through northern Sweden organised by Fjallraven, a brand of clothing and rucksacks and equipment, outdoor equipment, a Swedish company. And they lay on every year. Well, they've started doing more walks now through Hong Kong, America, Denmark, but the original walk was always in Sweden, and that's why they call it the Fjallraven Classic. So I decided that this year I would take part in that, and it's always held in August of every year, and the tickets come on sale in February. So I bought my tickets, about £220 for the ticket for the walk, and obviously that money goes towards the organisation and the support during the course of the walk. You can sign up on their website, fjallraven.co.uk, for email updates, and then obviously when the tickets come on sale they will email you to let you know when that's going to happen. The walk itself is 110 kilometres. It runs from Nicaragua through to Abisko, which is a lovely walk through between the mountains, through the valleys there. And so I thought I'd talk to you today a little bit about the actual makeup of the walk, because when I tried to find information out I couldn't get that much together, and I think had I have known more then perhaps I would have gone about it in a slightly different way with kit and things like that. So basically the walk's held every August. Tickets go on sale in February, and the cost of the tickets are £220. Flight wise, I flew into Stockholm, and then there's an internal flight which goes up to Kiruna, which is about an hour and a half from Stockholm. And once you've landed there, then there are buses which you can catch, which will take you into Kiruna town centre, and they cost £12. It's only about a 10-minute ride, but it's £12. And then once you get to Kiruna, you can either stay in hotels there, or you can head to the Ripon campsite, which is right next door to where Fjallraven have their base and their sign-in procedure. And the cost of the campsite there is £22 a night, and it's a free-for-all, everybody camps there, tent upon tent upon tent. You'll see, I'm going to put a video together of my highlights, and you'll see in there just how closely they are stacked together. So once you've arrived in Kiruna, bus to the town centre, and then they lay a free bus on which will go to the train station and then on to Ripon campsite, which is where the registration is held. And once you've registered, sign in, they will give you a little book like this, okay, with a trekking pass, and basically you need to get this stamped. They have different mountain stations along the way, and you get this book stamped at every one, just so that they know obviously that you've completed the walk and you haven't taken, there are boats that run along the lakes there, which obviously you could take shortcuts and things. And then they also give you a map, double-sided map like this, okay, and that obviously is your guide to getting through the mountains from one end to the other. So the walk itself is 110 kilometres. You can walk it over as many days as you like, that really is up to you, although they do have days at which they then close the checkpoints. So you have checkpoints 1 to 6, and obviously once people have walked through, then they start to close those down and head the stuff in. So once you've signed in, you can then collect the food that you require, which they hand out at in the main base camp. You can collect your food there. It's all freeze-dried, really nice food, freeze-dried, lightweight. You can collect bread and also gas. They supply gas. They have a shop area there, so if there's anything that you've forgotten or anything that you need to buy, or you get there and you think actually that'd be quite nice to take that with me, they do have a shop area. There's a cafe area, so you can get something to eat and drink there, which is quite nice. You can also take a holdall, and anything that you've used on your way en route to Kiruna, you can then put in the holdall, and put that in the container, and they will drive that up to the finish line for you, so that when you finish the walk you can then collect it and fly back. So if you're flying in jeans and you're going to stay in a hotel for a couple of days, then you can leave all your kit there and they'll move it on up. You don't have to carry it all the way. So that's quite nice. So once you've handed everything in, there are 3 start groups. You have three start groups over 3 days. So effectively there are 9 start groups. They organise the bus from Kiruna, which goes up to Nicaragua, and that is about an hour's ride on the bus. That bus is free, that's included in your fee. And then once you start, then you're out on your own. And it's up to you then as to how far you walk each day, and whereabouts you camp, when you eat, etc, etc. You're on your own. Although there are 2,000 people that do the walk over the period, once you sort of get past the first couple of hours, generally you're on your own. Everything sort of spreads out, and you go at a nice pace, and you're not walking with other people. You can take your time. So that's good. So the mountain stations along the route, there are 6 checkpoints. Some of them are proper mountain stations, and others are just tents that Fjallraven have put up where they have their check-in procedure. So each one that you come to, you check in, you get your book stamped, they take your time of when you've walked in and your number, and generally they have some free food that they will offer you, and coffee. Sometimes it's a brownie, sometimes it might be a wrap with reindeer and mashed potato and a nice cherry sauce. Other times it's pancakes, but they do offer you food at each location, which is nice. And at the proper mountain stations they have shops there, so if you want to stock up on some crisps or some chocolate bars, buy a coffee, can of Coke, then they have that there. It is quite pricey. All of Sweden is quite pricey. Can of Coke on average £3.50, pack of crisps £3.50, so it can be quite pricey, but there is the offer there to buy if you want to. There are toilets at the main checkpoint areas, where it's just the tents. They have a toilet tent, but where it's the main mountain station, they have a compost toilet, so that's quite good. And throughout they also have the safety that if you have twisted your ankle, blisters, you're carrying an injury, you can't carry on, then they can call the helicopter in to get you out, but that is a cost of £500 per person. So you really do need to be seriously injured to take that option. So there is safety features there, which is good. The food on the trail, once you've collected your food at the initial checkpoint, initial registration, then you've got that for the 2 or 3 days. There are 2 stops en route where you can refill your food, your freeze-dried food, and also your gas. So if you've used all of your gas, you can get more. So that's good. You don't have to take your whole 5 or 6 days worth of food all in one go. You can spread it out through the course of the walk. So that's quite nice. And water en route, I took a water purification device, the SteriPen, which I take with me everywhere, but you don't need it. Not at all. The mountain rivers up there, it's all of the snow that's melting, that's flowing down. It's crystal clear, it's lovely and cold. 6 days I was out there and I drank that, and I didn't have any illness or sickness or any bugs of any description, so it really is nice. So you certainly don't need to be taking anything to purify water. There are hundreds and hundreds of streams en route, so you don't need to take 2.5–3 litre platypus, just a ½ litre water bottle, fill it up as you walk past, drink that en route, top it up again. It really is. Keep your water down to a minimum, keep your food down to a minimum. So that's good. Terrain. Now, I walked it over 6 days, and predominantly it was uphill for the first 3 days until you get to the Salka Pass, which is the highest point, sort of equivalent to Snowdon, if you like, here in the UK, or Snowdon's in Wales, but here in the UK, same sort of height as Snowdon. And once you get to the top of that, then it's really sort of downhill from there on. There are spikes of up and down, but it's predominantly up for the first 3, down for the second 3. And I suppose I averaged 15 to 20 kilometres a day. Doesn't sound a lot, 10 to 12 miles, but the actual underfoot, the terrain is quite tough. It's very, very rocky, and you're always looking to see where to place your feet. So it's slow going. It's not a fast walking pace. There are areas where it's boggy, but they've got a plank system that you can walk along, which gets you over that area of the marsh and the bog. There are suspension bridges which go over the main rivers and the gorges. That's good. So the terrain is good. It's not tough as in big climbs up and big climbs down, but it is tough with the rocks underfoot. So that's something that you need to take into consideration. Really make sure that you've got. I would wear walking boots. I'm sure there are people that didn't, that wore sort of approach shoes, but I would wear walking boots just for the protection to the ankles. Mosquitoes more along the sort of the first day and the last day. The first day you're coming along a lake, and the last day you're sort of coming along a main river, and there are definitely more mosquitoes on those days. So if you've got a head net, certainly take it. Certainly take a mosquito repellent, spray on you and your clothes, and then you can sit there and have your lunch, and you're not getting battered by them. But yeah, I spoke to some people, and there were days in previous walks where the place was absolutely streaming with them. But this year, I think it was quite easy going, really. There was plenty of wind up there, so that sort of kept the mosquitoes away. Certainly didn't have swarms and swarms. It was really just that first day and last day where they were out. So not too bad on that front. Camping places, lots and lots of places in which to be able to pitch a tent and set up camp for the night. There are groups where people sort of gather together, and there are plenty of places if you just want to head off the track and put your own tent up, you know, just to keep yourself to yourself. But lots and lots of places to be able to do that, and you really decide how far you walk and when you want to stop and put your tent up. I was sort of setting up about between 7 and 8 most evenings. I was asleep by 9, waking up at 9 the next morning, and then heading off. So yeah, it's good, it's quiet, and plenty of places to be able to pitch your tent. Weather-wise, we had quite a good year weather-wise this year. I suppose the temperature was probably about 12 degrees during the day, may have dropped down to 5 or 6 degrees in the evening. They forecast rain for the whole of the walk when I was checking the weather app prior to going, but to be honest with you, it blew in and it blew out. If you put your waterproofs on, by the time you got them on and walked for 5 minutes, the sun was out and you were taking them off again. The weather was actually really quite, I would say, quite mild and quite nice for us. There were days when it was lovely sunshine and days where it was raining on and off. So that was quite nice. Sleeping bag wise, yeah, take a 2 or 3 season sleeping bag and you'll be absolutely fine. It's certainly not freezing cold at night. We didn't experience any frost or snow or anything like that. So yeah, go lighter with a sleeping bag. I took my larger 3-person tent because I thought if it's going to pour with rain all the time, then when I get in it at night, I want to be able to get all my kit in. I want to be able to lay my clothes out to get it dried, have room to, you know, move about and get everything sorted. But I didn't need it. I could actually have taken a little 2-person tent, which would have lightened my load. But I think I sort of went with the worst case scenario in mind, and I took spare clothes. I took the bigger tent, I took the bigger sleeping bag, and really I could have gone a lot lighter. I think my rucksack was 19 kilos at the start. That was with food and water, but I could probably have halved that and gone lighter. But like I say, I tried to research it and tried to find out, but didn't get that information. So yeah, I think, to be honest with you, go light. A lightish tent, 2 or 3 season sleeping bag, spare socks, spare boxer shorts. You certainly don't need to be taking spare jumpers, spare trousers, that sort of thing. That certainly isn't necessary. And then obviously once you get to the end, then there is a mountain station there at the end at which you can either camp. That's about £16 per night to pitch a tent. It's a tiny little wooded area. It's certainly not level grass. It's a tiny little wooded area where you'll try and get your tent in where you can. Or there are dorms there, which I think are about £65 a night for the rooms, and you can team up and sleep in one of the dorms. I slept in my tent just because I'd rather that and have the peace and quiet of being on my own than sharing a dorm with lots of people. But that's just my personal choice. But there is the trekkers in there where you can get a drink. They have live music on through the night, sort of finishes 2-3 o'clock in the morning. They do food inside the tent. So yeah, it's a good setup. It's a good atmosphere, and as you come in, people clap you in and cheer you in, and you do the same for others once you arrive. So it's a nice place to finish, and then whichever day you decide, you can book a bus then to get you back to Kiruna. That's £20, 200 Swedish coronas, and you book which bus you want to go back on, and then that'll take you straight back either to the airport or to Kiruna town centre, where you can then obviously, if you're staying for another night in the campsite there, or in hotels until your flight back, you can do that. So all in all, a really good walk. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hard work, very well organised. Like I say, cost of the tickets for the actual walk, £220 each. Cost of the flights was about £300 from the UK, from London Gatwick, and then I took £300 spending money, but I did have a night in a hotel when I first arrived and a night before I then flew back, and that came out of all of that. So yes, really worthwhile doing. If you want to go at wild camping on a bigger scale, a multi-day hike that's organised and has the backup and safety of people there to help you should you get into trouble, then it's certainly worthwhile booking. So I hope you found the video informative. I hope that if you do decide to do it, it helps you out a little bit, because like I say, I couldn't find any information. If you've got any questions at all about the Fjallraven walk, anything at all, drop them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And like I say, in the next 5-7 days I'll get the video together of my highlights along the way, and that'll give you an idea of what the terrain's like. But certainly worthwhile booking, certainly worthwhile doing. Check it out, and if you do it, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.